Most interesting thing in tech, a big deal between Apple and Google. They've just announced today that Apple is going to pay Google to have access to Gemini's AI models for sophisticated AI queries that happen on your iPhone. If you ask like a basic query, it'll be handled on device with maximum privacy protections by Apple and Siri. If you ask a more complicated query, it'll be handed off to Gemini, then a specific privacy protected Apple cloud server so that Google doesn't get access to all of your data and isn't able to train on it. And then you will get the more sophisticated answers on your phone. Apple will pay Google $1 billion a year. Remember, Google also pays Apple a lot of money to be default search engine. So these gigantic companies that dominate our world are more intertwined. A couple of things that are really interesting about this. First, it's kind of the exclamation point or the period on the story of how Apple missed the boat on AI. They had Siri. They had all this voice data. They had an early lead, and they got massively surpassed by the chatbot companies. Why was that? Well, partly for good reasons that speak well of Apple. Apple is a company that cares a lot more about privacy than everybody else. They didn't feel as good about scraping the internet and taking a bunch of copyrighted material, ingesting it, and then having to fight in the courts about it, which all the other AI companies were basically fine with. Secondly, Apple kind of underestimated how much chatbots mattered. One of their heads of AI was extremely skeptical of chatbots early on. Third, Apple is a hardware company, and it's a company where perfectionism is in their DNA. The story of chatbots is like these bets on like infinite scaling, trying lots of things that go wrong, experimentation, not really the way that Apple works. And then when Apple did push an AI, they had a management problem because they had these old teams, they had Siri, they tried to bolt high-powered AI onto Siri, and as one person said in the story, it was like bolting a rocket engine onto a bicycle. The whole thing just didn't work. So what does this mean now? It means there's a whole new chapter, and it means that Google is one. Apple apparently looked at Anthropic and OpenAI and chose Google. Maybe it's not that surprising. Apple and OpenAI are actually interesting competitors now that OpenAI owns Johnny Ive's company, which is building some kind of a hardware device. So there may be a level to this that we don't understand. But what this also means is it's a really good day for Gemini. The data shows it's been catching up on OpenAI. The recent testing has been really positive. Cloud Code has gotten all the good press the last couple of weeks, but folks at Google must feel pretty vindicated and pretty happy by this deal. All right, it's the most interesting thing in tech. See you tomorrow.